He had been eagerly anticipating spending time with his cherished brother Deshaun for months. The excitement stirred a blend of joy and apprehension within him as he pondered how much Deshaun may have changed during their time apart. Meet Sarah Kozad and Stuart Shank, a compassionate duo who have devoted many years to fostering children in need. Sarah, especially, harbors a profound passion for aiding vulnerable children, aiming to provide a nurturing and stable environment for each child in her care. One of the children she has fostered is a boy named Michael, who was placed into the foster system at the tender age of 3 due to his biological parents' inability to care for him. Initially, the transition to a new home was overwhelming for Michael, and he was quite nervous. He had faced many challenges in his early life, and the unfamiliar surroundings increased his discomfort. He often expressed his frustration at the new rules and routines, a reflection of the trauma he had endured. Despite these challenges, Sarah approached his care with immense patience and understanding. She worked tirelessly to establish a comforting home environment, ensuring Michael had everything he needed, from clean clothes and nutritious meals to emotional support. Sarah made significant efforts to connect with Michael on a personal level, involving him in activities such as visits to museums and parks, and sharing joyful moments playing games or cooking together at home. These experiences gradually helped Michael adjust and begin to trust his new surroundings. As he became more comfortable, Michael formed a deep bond with Sarah, seeing her as a source of support and comfort. He began to open up about his feelings and past experiences with her in ways he hadn't before. Sarah's dedication to Michael's well-being remained steadfast, even as she hoped for a reunion with his biological family. However, as time went on, it became apparent that a return to his biological parents might not be in Michael's best interest. During this period, another significant challenge was maintaining the bond between Michael and his older brother, Deshaun, who was placed in a different foster home. Sarah recognized the vital importance of their relationship and worked diligently to arrange sibling visits. On the day of one such eagerly awaited visit, Michael's excitement was palpable. He woke up early, eager to reconnect with Deshaun, underscoring the deep bond and longing for his brother. The path ultimately led to an adoption hearing where Michael, overwhelmed with emotion, openly shared his feelings with the court. He recounted the significant impact that Sarah and Stuart had on his life, highlighting the love and stability they provided during his time of great need. His sincere testimony highlighted the transformative effect of compassionate foster care and the deep bonds that can develop in such environments, bolstering his plea for a permanent place in Sarah and Stuart's nurturing home. Full of excitement and anticipation, Michael prepared meticulously for a reunion with his older brother Deshaun, with Sarah's help ensuring he looked perfect for the important day. Upon arriving at the designated park, Michael eagerly scanned the surroundings and was overjoyed to see Deshaun across the playground. He ran towards him and jumped into his brother's arms. The brothers held each other tightly, overwhelmed with emotion and tears flowing freely. Deeply touched, Deshaun looked towards Sarah and silently mouthed, "Thank you," a gesture that would remain in Sarah's heart forever. For Deshaun, this reunion was not just a simple visit, it was a cherished chance to reconnect with Michael, who had been his support during very tough times. Deshaun treasured these moments of laughter and shared understanding, reminders that he was never truly alone. Sarah, witnessing this touching reunion, realized even more the significant impact of foster care. She saw how her love and support in her home had transformed Michael's life. Observing the brothers' embrace, she was reminded of the core of her role, to create a sense of family amid challenging circumstances. It became clear to her that the boys needed to be together, and she was resolved to foster both of them. Initially, Sarah had hesitations about taking in an older child like Deshaun, who was 10 at the time. However, after meeting him, she quickly formed a strong bond and smoothly transitioned into the role of his foster mother, while she and her partner concentrated on supporting reunification efforts as foster parents. They found themselves on an emotionally complex journey as they contemplated adopting the boys, a decision that had not been part of their original plan. This journey was filled with mixed emotions as they wrestled with the desire to reunite the children with their biological family. With a solemn voice, she declared that Sean and Michael would indeed remain under the loving care of Sarah and Stuart. Overwhelmed with relief and joy, Sarah and Deshaun embraced tightly. Their hearts full of happiness and gratitude for the future they could now build with the boys. The anxiety that had once filled the room dissipated, replaced by an atmosphere of celebration and relief. As the judge concluded the proceedings, everyone in the courtroom felt the weight of the momentous decision that had just been made, ensuring a loving and stable home for Sean and Michael. Sarah wiped away her tears, smiling through them, as Deshawn held her close. Both grateful for the judge's compassionate ruling and the chance to continue nurturing their family with love and care, with a heartfelt plea and a warm smile, she made her declaration. I don't think there is much more to say. It is evident that Sean and Michael have found a loving home with you. I am delighted to declare that the adoption is granted. Cheers erupted throughout the courtroom as Sarah hugged Deshawn tightly, both of them filled with immense relief and joy. This moment of validation was one they would treasure forever. Following the hearing, the newly official family of 4 exited the courtroom, holding hands, their faces streaked with tears of joy. Sarah experienced an overwhelming sense of relief and happiness. She had invested her entire being in fostering Deshawn and Michael and had ardently wished for this outcome. She could now officially call them her sons and provide them with the permanent home they deserved. As they left the courthouse, Deshawn affectionately pecked Michael on the forehead, and Sarah, observing the strengthened bond between the brothers, felt deep gratitude for the familial ties that had grown stronger through this process. Sarah, Deshawn, and Michael have undergone a profound yet paradoxical transformation in their lives. As Cosette aptly remarked, everything has changed and nothing has changed since adoption day, although they had been living together as a family. The formal recognition of their bond through adoption has solidified their relationship in a new and significant way. What is your favorite aspect of this story? Share your thoughts with us in the comments below. Your insights are valuable to us. Now, we have another engaging story. Let's proceed to the next one. It was a regular day for Officer Darius Jones of the Oakland Police Department. With years of service, he had seen a wide range of scenarios, but he was caught off guard by the unusual activities of a young boy. Every day, Officer Jones saw the boy, who appeared too young to be out by himself, walking the same path in the neighborhood and going into a local convenience store. Compelled by both professional responsibility and personal curiosity, Officer Jones chose to look further into the child's routine visits. Why would a boy of his age make repeated trips to a store instead of going directly to school? This question troubled the officer, prompting him to carry out an investigation. Officer Jones positioned himself discreetly near the store and watched patiently, keeping his focus on the entrance. Eventually, the moment came when the boy entered, his slight figure almost lost among the aisles which he navigated with ease. As Officer Jones observed, the boy confidently made his way to the baby care aisle and purposefully grabbed a pack of diapers, placing it in his basket. This scene evoked a mixture of concern and curiosity in Officer Jones. Why was such a young child buying diapers every day? Who were they for? Was there a distressing story behind these purchases? Eager for answers, Officer Jones approached the cashier who had just served the boy. "Excuse me, ma'am," Officer Jones asked, maintaining a casual yet serious tone. "The boy who just bought the diapers, have you seen him here before?" The cashier, casually chewing her gum, replied, "Oh yeah, he's been coming here every day for the past week, always buys diapers and sometimes some snacks." This information deepened the enigma for Officer Jones. As the boy left the store, Officer Jones resolved to uncover the touching truth behind the boy's routine. Each day, he arrived at the same time to purchase the same items. The details of his personal life remained a mystery, but signs indicated distress. When asked if he was okay, the boy merely shrugged and cast a fearful look, feeling momentarily uncertain. Officer Darius Jones hesitated between intervening immediately or continuing his observation. Deciding to trust his instincts, he discreetly followed the boy, guided by both his duty as a police officer and his growing concern for the child's well-being. The behavior of the child was alarming, showing clear signs of distress, and this deeply concerned Officer Jones, who noticed him walking solo daily. As the boy left the local store, Officer Jones maintained a discreet distance, tracking him through the close-knit community with its familiar lanes and modest dwellings. Although buying diapers might seem like a mundane act, there was an element of mystery around it that made Officer Jones question what deeper issues were at play. Eventually, the boy arrived at a dilapidated house on the edge of the neighborhood. From a distance, Officer Jones watched as the boy, with a nervous glance around, hurried inside clutching the diapers tightly. A wave of worry washed over Officer Jones as he grasped the gravity of the situation. He took a moment to compose himself before cautiously approaching and knocking on the door, bracing for whatever might come next. A woman in her late 30s opened the door, her face a mixture of shock and weariness. Was she the boy's mother? And if so, why was she letting him go to the store by himself every day? "Ma'am, my name is Officer Darius Jones," he introduced himself in a calm yet assertive manner. "I've noticed a young boy frequently arriving here with diapers, and I'm worried about his safety. Could you please explain the circumstances?" The woman's complexion grew pale, and her eyes flicked around anxiously. Officer Jones could sense her discomfort but stood patiently, awaiting her reply. After a brief pause, she invited him into a sparsely decorated living room. "I apologize for the disorder. Managing everything is currently beyond my capabilities," she said, with a heavy heart. The woman, who introduced herself as Emily, began to divulge her plight. Her voice quivered with both vulnerability and despair as she described the immense challenges she faced as a single mother battling overwhelming odds. Officer Jones, no stranger to heart-wrenching tales from his job, listened attentively, ready to extend the necessary assistance to this struggling family. As Officer Jones probed further into the case before him, he couldn't escape the profound sense that children like little Daniel often endured the worst of such unstable circumstances. Yet, amidst these common struggles, Officer Jones detected a hint of something far more ominous, a threat he had never encountered before. After losing her job months earlier, Emily, the mother of Daniel, had encountered significant challenges. With accumulating bills and the family's financial resources depleting, she found herself in a relentless battle to make ends meet, all while dealing with postnatal depression. Each day presented a monumental challenge for her. Her 8-year-old son, Daniel, had remarkably become a cornerstone of support. Despite his young age, he had assumed household duties, even preparing simple meals to lighten his mother's load. However, as Officer Jones spoke with Emily, he sensed that she was withholding important details. Officer Jones sat opposite them, attentively assembling the pieces of Emily's distressing narrative. Her resilience was evident, yet it was clear she was just managing to hold on. Daniel, her young son, carried a significant load on his small shoulders, always managing to maintain a smile. As he offered Officer Jones a cup of coffee, Daniel's innocent actions spoke greatly of his upbringing. "Thanks, buddy, but you didn't have to do this," Officer Jones responded, acknowledging the boy's thoughtfulness while noting the tiredness in his eyes. During their conversation, Officer Jones mentioned seeing Daniel's daily visits to the store and voiced his concern. "I see you walking to the shop every day. I wanted to check if you're all right, pal." The brief flash of fear across Daniel's face did not escape notice. As the boy began to squirm, Officer Jones realized there was more to the story. The ensuing silence was heavy. Suddenly, Daniel burst out, "I have to help Mommy. I don't like it, but I have to, or else." "Or else what?" Officer Jones asked softly, but before Daniel could reply, his mother cut in with a fatigued smile, her eyes revealing a deep-seated fear similar to the one that had momentarily paralyzed her son. As he prepared to leave, Officer Jones reassured them that he would return. Stepping outside, the rundown appearance of the house stayed with him, a stark reminder of the dire circumstances the family faced. His mind was filled with the snippets of truth he had collected. Realizing this was merely the surface of deeper issues, he was determined to delve further into the matter upon his return. As he was about to start his cruiser, a sudden movement in the living room window caught his eye, further strengthening his determination. As Officer Daniel Jones drew back the curtains, his eyes met those of a young boy peering out with an expression full of fear and tear-filled eyes. The child appeared deeply concerned, his gaze fixed on the squad car, his face marked by worry. A tingling sense of discomfort washed over Officer Jones as he realized the situation involved more than just the child and his mother. There seemed to be other, unseen forces at play, casting a shadow of fear over the household. Resolved to dig deeper, Officer Jones resisted the urge to offer a parting wave as he left the scene. He didn't travel far, though, stopping just around the corner. He immediately contacted the dispatch center. He requested a detailed investigation into recent happenings in the area, anything from gang ties to recent burglaries, anything that might reveal abnormalities. The discoveries he was about to make would exceed his every expectation. Over the years, Officer Jones had cultivated a reputation as a committed and empathetic law enforcement officer, although he never let his emotions interfere with his professional duties. His determination to solve cases and administer justice was unwavering, yet, this particular case was shaping up to be unlike any he had ever encountered. For the moment, his focus was to maintain a vigilant guard over young Daniel and his mother, oblivious to the fact that he was also being watched. Upon returning to the station, Officer Jones encountered a colleague surrounded by files concerning the street and residence he had just visited. The files painted a troubling picture. The house had frequently been listed for sale over the years, witnessing a range of atrocities including murders, drug dealings, hostage situations, and shootouts. The property had developed a notorious reputation in the neighborhood, with locals deeming it cursed. Every family that moved in seemed to be struck by calamity, fueling suspicions of a sinister force at work. Despite the unsettling tales, Officer Jones, an experienced criminologist, believed there had to be a logical explanation for the turmoil. He pulled up maps and noted the strategic location of the house within the neighborhood, secluded from the main road and built of stone. Unlike other residences in the vicinity, it stood almost like a fortress, offering a clear view of anyone approaching the street. However, these strategic advantages did not completely account for the strange occurrences Officer Jones had noted at the property. His mind raced as he delved deeper into the investigation. The cashier mentioned seeing the boy a couple of days ago but not since. This information added to Officer Jones' worries, prompting him to consider that Daniel and his mother might be in immediate danger. Immersed in the investigation, Officer Jones was committed to unraveling the hidden truths behind the ominous reputation of the house. Initially, during his visit, he noted the woman and Daniel's apparent happiness upon seeing him. Yet, their attitudes changed drastically in a short time. It seemed they suddenly recognized Officer Jones as a symbol of law enforcement, which made him suspicious of their possible involvement in unlawful activities. The evidence he had collected led him to believe that the house served as a center for criminal operations, its historical background and strategic position making it a perfect location for a gang or a criminal syndicate to use as a base. This realization weighed heavily on him. As he wiped the sweat from his brow, he regretted the possibility that someone had intentionally involved a mother and her children in such peril. Committed to resolving the issue, he stood up from his seat, determined to put an end to these criminal enterprises soon. After returning home, Officer Jones had extensive information to analyze concerning the house and the local gangs. He hoped the files might provide insights that would direct his next steps. Following a refreshing shower and dinner with his family, he dedicated the remainder of the evening to examining the documents. The next day, Officer Jones returned to the vicinity, hopeful to encounter Daniel again. He planned to purchase some food for the boy and his mother as a gesture of goodwill, aiming to build trust. Daniel had appeared reluctant to speak the previous day, possibly silenced by his mother. Officer Jones contemplated whether Daniel's mother had been forced into her current predicament or if she had found herself trapped. He had witnessed cases where mothers sacrificed their freedom for their children's sake, but he had also seen mothers who seemed indifferent to their children's well-being, placing them in considerable danger. It was uncertain where Daniel's mother stood in these scenarios, parking his car a few blocks from the designated location. Officer Jones spent the morning waiting for Daniel to appear, but the boy remained absent. Concerned, the officer drove to the store and inquired with the cashier whether Daniel had been in to collect any food recently. This interruption seemed to momentarily distract the aggressive man, giving Officer Jones a chance to reassess the situation. His primary focus remained on ensuring the safety of Emily and Daniel. "Everything is under control," Officer Jones reassured the newcomer, maintaining a calm demeanor to keep the tension from rising again. "I was just discussing some safety concerns with Emily and her friend." The man shot a skeptical glance at Officer Jones, his hostility palpable. "We're fine, just catching up," he retorted, his voice still edged with defiance. Officer Jones nodded, his expression unreadable. Understood, however, it's crucial that everyone feels safe here. My duty is to ensure that, and I need to verify that there's no threat present. Emily, gripping Daniel's hand tightly, finally spoke up, Officer, I appreciate your concern, we're okay for now, but thank you for checking on us. Noticing the subtle signs of distress in her voice, Officer Jones decided to remain vigilant. I'm here whenever you need assistance, just let me know if anything changes, he said, handing her his card. As the situation temporarily calmed, the man's demeanor softened slightly, though suspicion still lingered in his eyes. Officer Jones, sensing he had done all he could for the moment, slowly backed towards the door, keeping his senses alert for any signs of trouble. Thank you for your understanding, he said as he exited, the door closing behind him with a soft click. Outside, he took a deep breath, his mind still racing with concern, but satisfied that he had handled the situation as best he could under the circumstances. Officer Hernandez, the partner of Officer Jones, had stealthily trailed him, sensing the impending threat. Relieved by the timely arrival of his colleague, Officer Jones remained calm and collected. We're just having a conversation, he stated, never taking his eyes off the man while speaking to his partner. Officer Hernandez quickly took in the situation, his arrival causing the man to falter momentarily. Why don't we all just take a step back and discuss what's happening here? Proposed Officer Hernandez, attempting to defuse the growing tension. As the officers spoke tensely with the man, young Daniel clung to his mother, overwhelmed by fear and uncertainty. Officer Jones was sure this man was no acquaintance of Emily's. He was determined to find a way to talk privately with mother and son to fully grasp the situation and confirm their safety. In the quiet suburban setting, it became clear that the imposing man at the door wasn't leaving soon. The man exerted a troubling and significant influence on Daniel, who looked torn, his expression a mix of fear and determination. The pressing question remained, who was this domineering figure, and why had he forcefully entered the home of Emily and Daniel? Following a brief but intense dialogue with the enigmatic individual, Officers Jones and Hernandez left the premises with heavy hearts. The situation feeling increasingly precarious, Officer Jones felt particularly disturbed. Haunted by unanswered questions and Daniel's enigmatic statement about needing to protect his mother at all costs, the next day, driven by worry and a restless night, Officer Jones returned to the family's home. He knocked determinedly, calling out for Emily and Daniel, yet received no response. His persistence eventually led to the door slowly opening, revealing Emily, tears welling in her eyes. "Why did you come back?" she asked, her voice a blend of despair and relief. Stepping into the dimly lit hallway, Officer Jones felt a pang of sadness as he noticed fresh bruises on Emily's face. "I'm here to help," he reassured her, following her into the living room where Daniel was holding their baby, both appearing deeply upset, overwhelmed with emotion. Emily shared the terrifying ordeal. The man was a well-known local gang leader who had been extorting protection money from them. Failure to comply had resulted in violence, as evidenced by her injuries. As Officer Jones absorbed the gravity of the situation, his determination deepened. The crisis at hand was not only about immediate threats but also entwined with deep-rooted issues of poverty, mental health, and domestic violence. He understood that a mere quick fix was inadequate. Instead, a thorough and thoughtful intervention was necessary to address the family's intertwined difficulties, motivated to shield Emily and Daniel from further distress. Officer Jones devised a plan that was both compassionate and firm. He acknowledged the importance of professional mental health support to help Emily manage her depression and the psychological scars from her abuse. Additionally, it was crucial to involve social services to guarantee the family's protection and to provide them with essential resources to break free from the vicious cycle of violence and intimidation in which they were ensnared. As Officer Jones initiated these measures, he was keenly conscious of the need to maintain a sensitive balance in managing such a complex case, pledging to assist Emily and Daniel through each step of their challenging path to recovery and safety. Officer Jones was particularly concerned about Emily's plight. Despite her unemployment, he was adamant that she should not lose custody of her children, as she was doing all she could to sustain them under tough conditions. He saw her efforts and the hardships they faced and was resolute in offering his support. Daniel, Emily's son, was a special concern for Officer Jones. He noted Daniel's lack of positive influences and was eager to fill that gap himself. Recognizing the considerable burdens the boy bore, Officer Jones aimed to have a private talk with him to better understand his struggles and to provide encouragement. In their conversation, Daniel mentioned his responsibilities in helping his mother with a baby and the potential complications if he failed. Initially puzzled, Officer Jones later understood from Emily that her youngest child, Lily, had a medical condition necessitating a steady supply of diapers. Unable to afford them in bulk, Emily purchased just enough each day to meet her daughter's needs. As Officer Jones listened, his empathy grew, realizing the depth of Emily's sacrifices and her deep love for her children. Their talk also uncovered why Daniel was not in school. The costs of books and transportation were too high, compelling the family to allocate their limited funds towards basic needs. Daniel was aware of his situation even though he deeply missed attending school and seeing his friends. Touched by the family's difficult circumstances, Officer Jones realized that his duties as a police officer went beyond just enforcing the law. His responsibilities included protecting the welfare of the community, offering assistance, and finding solutions to their problems. Committed to helping Emily and her family, Officer Jones began to connect with local charities, social services, and community groups, seeking aid and support to lighten their load and enhance their living conditions. His dedication highlighted the significance of community-focused policing and its powerful influence on the lives of individuals and families in need. Emily's story struck a chord within her community, sparking a remarkable show of solidarity and kindness from her neighbors. They came together, organizing fundraisers, gathering donations, and offering emotional support to Emily and her children. This united effort demonstrated the community's strength and cohesion, simultaneously. Officer Jones actively pursued his investigations to secure the family's safety. He discovered a group of individuals exploiting vulnerable families for their own benefit. Committed to justice, he worked with his colleagues to compile evidence and construct a solid case against the perpetrators. His primary aim was to purge these harmful individuals from the community and prevent them from harming other vulnerable families. As the investigation progressed, the community's resolve to protect its members intensified. Residents became more alert, reported dubious activities, and fully cooperated with the police. This was a robust display of resilience against those who aimed to exploit the vulnerable. They expressed their appreciation to Officer Jones for his steadfast support and commitment to their community, which had suffered from such exploitation for too long. Months later, the moment of justice finally came. Officer Jones and his team arrested the culprits who had targeted families like Emily's. The community felt a sense of relief, knowing that justice would be served and their neighborhood would be safer. Officer Jones experienced a deep sense of satisfaction knowing he had eliminated these criminal elements from the community. With this threat gone, Emily and her family could finally breathe a sigh of relief. The constant burden of worry was lifted from their shoulders, replaced by a renewed sense of hope. The support from the community had not only provided them with the means to meet their basic needs, now everyone could rest more easily at night, secure in the knowledge that their community had become slightly safer. Emily sought therapy to address her depression, yet their path to recovery was not yet complete. Fortified by the support and resources their community offered, they started to piece their lives back together. Emily secured a job while Lily's healthcare needs were fully met. The wounds from their previous hardships began to heal, giving way to a future brimming with opportunities. Her son Daniel resumed his education and was thriving. With the employment Emily had found, she was able to afford his school books and transportation costs. His mood had improved significantly since he resumed his normal daily activities. From that moment on, Officer Jones embraced the lessons he had learned and carried them close to his heart. He performed his duties not just as an enforcer of the law, but also as an agent of positive transformation. He regularly checked on Emily and her children to ensure their ongoing well-being. His dedication to the community intensified, and he emerged as a pillar of hope for those in need. Do you have any thoughts after hearing the above two stories? We'd like to hear your thoughts. Tell us in the comment section. That's all for today's story. Please subscribe and give a thumbs up. See you next time.